I think you're all right.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks again.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.
Oh, I probably need to make it so both cameras work. Throw me off. So. Yeah, I went to grab the books this afternoon, right? And went, oh crap, these aren't what I said they were. Oh, I'm so silly. All right. Hello, Mr. Art.
How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Great.
Okay, that camera's not right. That camera's way high.
There you go.
So, Steve's here. You just can't see him, and I'm here. Yeah.
Is that me that you can't see?
Steve is hiding.
Oh, Steve is hiding. Okay. Yo, Steve.
Oh, I didn't plug the microphone in. Jeez,
That probably will make a difference.
that lady threw me all off.
That's a heavy camera, but you're off the table.
Well, this was supposed to have a wide angle lens on it, but it doesn't really have such a wide lens. Weird. Okay. All right, let's see if we can. I thought I plugged that in. Did I unplug it when my brain. I am losing my mind. My default has changed. Can you hear me better?
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we're good, I think.
Okay. Well. So you and Steve and did I hear Barry there?
No,
Mhm.
so far we're it.
Okay. Everybody is just discovering that we have a live meeting today.
Well, maybe nobody wants my giveaways. Look, I brought a whole box of giveaways.
Okay.
Vicente will probably be here. I don't like this camera. I don't like this new camera at all. It's not as wide as the other camera.
Let's see if I can find one.
Are they have an adjust
No, this is a fixed fixed lens dealy bob.
okay.
But it was supposed to have been a wide angle.
Is this a new camera?
It's different.
It's a different camera. It's not new. It was in a box. And I think I probably used it once before and I probably threw it in the box because I didn't like it.
Okay. So it becomes a giveaway today?
No, it's actually a really nice camera. It's just it's a webcam. It's not a camera suited for meetings. So if it was sitting on my monitor, it would be fantastic. Kind of like looking at how it's looking at Steve.
Yeah.
It's a decent camera, but we need more of a wide angle
Yeah.
to cover the table. So Steve brought a robot tank
Boy.
platform.
Okay.
I got that for a really good price. And I didn't even open it for 6 months. I just opened it about 2 weeks ago, and I put it together while I was on a Zoom meeting. So if you take it, I strongly suggest go through with a nut driver and tighten up all those nuts. Yeah. The only thing I didn't do the way they recommended, that top plate,
Yeah,
the screws are in upside down. I was gonna see if I can find some little tiny wing nuts. But you can take those nuts off and lift it straight up, and it just leaves 4 pins sticking up,
yeah.
which seemed better than the other way of doing it.
Maybe some Loctite or something on it. That's one of the who made that? Somebody made that.
I got it from Villaros or Vilros, I'm not sure how it's pronounced. And I'm in their box of addresses because years and years ago, I entered a contest at the Ohio Linux Fest, and I won a couple of things. They've been sending me stuff ever since. I'm going to spend money on something. I got that for shipping.
Oh, you got that for shipping? That's a deal.
Yeah.
So I see Mike is there in his Hawaiian outfit.
Yeah.
Very tropical today.
You can almost swim out there.
It's quite appropriate because I went to the dermatologist to see about skin cancer, so
Oh, good.
I'm clear.
That's good.
See where that camera looks like it's pointing? It looks like it's pointing to the back of the laptop.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I mean,
Well,
the back
yeah,
of your
yeah,
laptop.
I guess
is
it is.
centered.
I guess it is pointing to the back of the laptop, but that camera's horrible.
So,
It's okay. It's okay.
so one I've been looking at getting is a 19.2 by 1080 with zoom and focus.
Yeah.
A manual focus, and it's supposed to go down to 3 inches. I'll bring that along. I'm not going to give you that one because I have other.
So that's adjustable by just rotating the lens.
It's adjustable by, it's sitting on a little tripod.
Or did you mean the one I was talking about?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The one I was talking about, yeah, it has 2 levers on the side of the lens, and one is zoom and one is focus. And they promise that zoom is independent of focus, but it never is.
I'm not sure how they do that.
No, on a $1,000 lens, you do. Part of the zoom has a cam on it that it adjusts the focus as you're turning the zoom. But yeah, on a $80 webcam, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There's a camera. It's a webcam. It's like a $300 camera, but it has like a super wide lens on it. And I've been so close to buying one because I was finding them on eBay for like $60 and $70. And I was like, oh, that's really tempting. But they are older, and I don't know if they will work with Linux. They don't claim to work with Linux.
It's getting harder to find stuff that doesn't.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to say, unless they actually put time and effort into it, that it works with Linux if they don't write the drivers for them.
I don't know who actually makes the sensor. I know who makes the camera, but I know some webcams, especially older ones, had issues with Linux. So Even at 50 or 60 bucks, I'd rather have something I know works.
My niece is married to a professional videographer. And so I was inquiring with him about using our Pentax lenses on the digital camera. And he says, well, I don't recommend it. So I got old cameras I'm not using, just for picking it up. I got a Nikon D7000 for $200.
Nice.
And it will work as a video camera.
Mhm.
It's like, that's the cheapest video camera I could ever have. And I will never grow into it. He's grown out of it.
I had one of my first digital cameras I picked up at a police auction. And it was an SLR. It was a Kodak thing. It strapped to the back of an SLR. And it took beautiful, beautiful pictures, even though it was 640 by 480 or whatever. I mean, it was teeny tiny, but the pictures were gorgeous. I think it had a lot to do with the SLR lens. I mean, just the lens was, it'd sit there and adjust little fine details on it, and it would go, and you get beautiful pictures. But they took, you, I think it was a Canon camera and a Kodak back thing. You took the plate off and you stuck this on there, and you could unconvert it. You could convert it back to 35 millimeter if you wanted to. I don't know why you would want to, but you could.
When those video back plates first came out, they were like $4,000.
Yeah, I know. I picked up, I got a box of them at one of these auctions for a couple $100. And I kept one of them because, I mean, I was just super impressed with it.
Mhm.
And I sold all the rest and made some decent money off of it. Because they were really good SLRs. Even though they, by any stretch of the imagination, they're crappy cameras.
I'm thinking that my Masai Pentax is probably 55 years old now. And it just feels good. It just feels like it does what, but I don't use it. Yes, I like the convenience of the digital.
I've got I think it's a Fuji digital camera that it's not an SLR, but it's got a really good lens on it. It's in a box. My phone takes as good of pictures. It was a 10 megapixel camera back in the day, which was the best they had. And I'm like, yeah, it was really, really nice, but I always set it down to 2 megapixels because I was taking pictures for eBay and they always downsized them anyway. So it didn't do any real good to have a good camera to take pictures when they were just downsizing the pictures anyway.
And the ultimate use didn't want it.
There's a box.
Uh-oh.
A box of stuff. You gotta have stuff. So you usually bring me stuff, but today the job gets reversed.
Well, I will paw through this.
It's open to anybody that wants it. It all needs to go somewhere. My Centec probably will look at a lot of it and go, I want that.
I meant to bring a box about half the size I've got filled with Arduinos.
I'm still half debating whether or not to, how many are actual Arduinos I need to keep. Because I do have some robots that use them, but they're in parts. So I didn't really bring a whole lot of Arduino, but I brought other stuff. Some of this stuff is brand new, has been in the box for 15 years. Has never, that's probably the first time that box has been opened. That, when did MCM go out of business? That came from MCM. That came from MCM. Although I think almost everything in this box came from MCM. A lot of what's in this box came from MCM. They're for lights, for LEDs.
Yeah. I pick up stuff out of the trash and I got about 4 or 5 remotes like that, but nothing to do with it. Oh, here's my latest trash phone.
Okay.
Sterling silver and garnet.
Ooh.
Oh man, you are a whole wheel.
Yeah. That we need to check because I think this one. These are not individually addressable. These are, so if you tell red, the whole strip will be red. Same with these. Same with this. And a really, really unique smell to them.
I'm gonna give it a sniff check then.
That they smelled like that when I bought them. So that smell comes back, but these are
Yeah, individual.
no, they're not individual. You light the whole string up.
Well, if nobody else takes these, I will take these. You can have.
Would you like a laptop to learn how to play with Linux on?
I would love to do that. When you're going like anything. Why?
It's even a touch screen, I just found out.
Well, it was.
There it is.
I can't see it.
It just,
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's loaded with Linux.
yes, Linux Mint. It is current. I just did an update on it. It has a fingerprint scanner, but I never tried to enable that. I mean, it should work. I've used it's fprint D, and you can use it to authenticate anything that needs authentication except for the disk encryption. In Linux, when you do disk encryption, the disk is encrypted. It's encrypted a little bit, but it'll still boot for some reason and bring up a network stack and everything in Windows except it says it's encrypted. And I just reset the password from what I use as a default to a new one, and that's also the user password. You're more than welcome to it. You can wipe it and reload it. If you don't trust me, that's fine.
No. I know that I have a limited time to work on my projects.
Mm.
And I would love to learn Linux. But to sit down and learn it, understand it, and then use it. My nephew and I were talking about Blender.
Mhm.
I think you're both familiar with that.
Mhm.
I attempted to learn Blender. And I spent like 10 hours trying to make it do a checkerboard.
Okay,
And it's like, oh, this is so extremely powerful. It has a wonderful interface.
okay, I'm not a big fan of the interface, but okay.
Well,
Do you know the history of Blender?
well, I knew it was free from, believe it, Netherlands. Originally.
No. So Blender started out as the software that Industrial Light and Magic used to create their effects. And they decided to open source it. I have no idea why. It really surprises me, but yeah, that is a product of ILM.
Well, to me, it is an extremely powerful program,
Mhm.
and I would love to be able to simply do some things with it. But in my opinion, there is no simple about it.
No, it's designed for professional artists. And it's also designed to have a back end of 1,000 Linux boxes because it doesn't do so well on a laptop. It hands off the job to a cluster and says, y'all make me a picture. And then boop, there's your picture.
Yeah, every time I've had to use it, it takes a while to render a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is not a new machine. It's a i5 5th generation. So fairly old, and it needs a battery. But the plus on this particular one is the battery comes out anyway, one way or the other. And this is a shelf item of Micro Center. It's like $25. I had hoped that I would have a spare one. I don't.
So, just out of curiosity, why are you getting rid of it?
Because I can get rid of a laptop a week for the next 6 months
And still have laptops?
and still have laptops. I am trying to reduce down to the 3 that I use and this one. Well, I'm sorry, I have 2 crap tops. They're those
Yeah,
cheap $30 a piece from Micro Center things that are surprisingly usable.
that's for Vicente.
It amuses me how frequently I just go, it's a crap top, wipe it and load something else to play with. I'm going to take because they both got the cell interface, and I'm going to put one of those in this. At some point, if I need to travel, I'll toss a Mint card in it and use it. But this is now the laptop that I use when I'm playing a laptop. It's an i7 8th gen, 4-core, 8-thread. It runs VMs nicely. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, 19.2 by 1080. The only kind of odd thing, it doesn't have a camera. It had to have been ordered that way specifically because this line had cameras. Doesn't even have a hole for it.
That is kind of an odd thing. Well, if other people show up and they can't take it, Patty wants
Okay,
it.
absolutely.
Well, that would be a good use, because I'm afraid if I took it, it would gather dust and it would not use it. I hate the way it's stuff, and that's what it would be.
Yeah, well,
This has the trackpad and the nipple, which is one of the reasons it's one of the first to go.
Oh, I like that.
the nipple,
Yeah,
The
the thick pad.
And the
I had
touch
had-
screen.
the touchscreen, that's
Yeah, it's kind of sad that you can't fold it all the way over because it does have position sensors, I think.
well, this is
kind of a 5th gen was nice.
Kind of a weird, in between
Yeah.
one state and the other state.
It's got HDMI out, it's got a network jack,
Yeah.
it's got mini DisplayPort.
Okay,
And I've run,
that would be,
it's the DisplayPort 1.2 where you can daisy chain monitors, because I've run 2 monitors off of this.
that'll go nice with that new monitor that we bought.
Okay.
She really likes that monitor, but now she hates her laptop.
So
And I'm like, but she'll her laptop is much older than an i5.
really,
Yeah,
5th gen?
it's I'm pretty sure it's an i3 and it's 5 3rd gen.
Okay. Yeah, this is a step up.
It's a step up.
Goes from 2 cores to 4.
The biggest problem is now that we've got a monitor that she can see, her laptop is actually smaller than that. And the screen is small. So you've got the big monitor and a teeny tiny monitor. And when you pull something over or move something
Oh, yeah.
around,
It's all
it
wiggly.
doesn't scale right. And she's, oh, man.
This will drive the monitor directly, but it doesn't have USB-C. It's not going to run a docking station or anything. Well, I mean, it will if you've got one that's got the display link in it.
Yeah.
Those will run on USB 2, suppose. If you want to set up the fingerprint scanner, I'll show you how. Or you can, it's not. It has.
She'll never use it. Her phone, I have tried and tried and tried to get her to set the fingerprint scanner on her phone. That is,
Barry doesn't like fingerprint scanners. I do.
it's clunky.
What is that?
That is a next thing. So there's 3. That's a Chinese clone of the Nexten, which is a Chinese brand, so it's a Chinese clone of a Chinese.
Clone of a clone.
But the software for this one is not the same as the software for that one,
Oh,
and it's all in Chinese.
ooh,
Yeah, exactly. But that one, it's Windows only software, which is one reason why. That's one reason why it's in the box.
so. Okay. Where do you?
That's power, I believe.
I'm trying to figure out where it plugs in.
I forget.
It doesn't.
It should. There should be.
Well, there's a little wired thing in here too. And there's a plug for this.
Yeah, I think it plugs into that. I think if you look at the power connector.
Oh, okay. Some yellow lead on here.
Because the thing with those, they don't really, they've got a microprocessor on board. You program them, and then it talks serial to RS-232 to whatever device it's connected to, but it doesn't need to. You make your UI or whatever, and you can hit buttons and it'll do stuff on screen.
Cool.
It's a cool idea, but it's really meant for industrial kind of applications where you program at one time for something and be done with it. It's not meant for like Arduinos where you program it over and over and over again.
Yeah. I see one thing in there I want.
Okay, it's all yours.
Maybe. Oh, I thought this round thing at the bottom was a ring of,
LEDs.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is So that's one of the things you can use as a piano. Or use the like thread to connect to it.
I think that's, yeah, it's a lily pad. So it's a,
Now it's a broken lily pad.
not a broken lily pad.
Okay.
Oh. You're missing the fun of the box.
When my son was just a toddler and he would get excited, he'd put both his hands up and go. I feel like I should be doing that now.
The fun of the box.
I was digging through the camera I've got. Camera, one of the old GE that took full-size SD cards. I have a 1 gig SD card in. Haven't even seen one of those in a long time.
Yeah, one of the actual Arduino shields I've got has a 1 gig SD card in it. One of those controllers that's in there, I opened it up and it had, I think, a 512 meg SD card, and I'm kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting.
Wano Nano.
A Blano Nano. Yes, Vicente convinced me I needed those, and I need to stop listening to Vicente. Convincing me I need stuff.
Embedded pie?
So these are Arduino 328 compatible,
Okay,
but they are not. They're not 328s, and they improve upon the architecture a bit, like more RAM and more something else, or faster clock speed or something. But it's a weird little device that.
so I changed the password. I added a password to Lux. It has two. My original is still in there. If you just tell it to delete slot one, it'll go away. And it definitely needs a battery.
It got cinnamon on it.
Yes.
Patty likes. She's gotten used to cinnamon.
And this is one of my favorite power supplies. I love the Dell dog bone power supply.
The dog bones. With the, is that when you got the Mickey Mouse? Or was that
Now, this is a 2-pin.
2-pin?
Yeah.
So it's got the infinity.
Honestly, I don't know. It's also got a 180-degree connector on the end. So
Yeah,
Yes.
I like the 180 connected.
and it still has the pin in the strap. I bought a Harbor Freight lathe, the little tiny 7x21 lathe, just to make one of these pins. That's how I justified the outlay at the time, $430, to make the pin that goes on the strap.
Yeah,
And the ex-wife was cool with it. She's like, yeah, it's a tool. You can use that in the future. Yes, I can.
it's a tool.
I have to give Sandy points for that. She was okay on spending money as long as there was some chance that in the future it could make money.
Or be very useful.
Yeah.
For something.
Or be pawned for 3/4 of what it was worth. And she doesn't understand. I would never pawn a tool. I might give it to her, but I won't pawn it. Battery case, that last envelope.
That is a J node. There should be a second J node in there somewhere. Because we need two of them to talk to each other.
Many of these things would be real useful if I wrote to have them do
I am a fountain of knowledge. Sort of, almost.
So the red wire is the antenna.
The red wire is the antenna. I'm fairly sure you need a programmer for that when it doesn't have a programming chip on it.
So is JLabs.com still in business?
They were last year when they don't support that particular model anymore.
Do they have historic data?
I think so.
No.
And archive, I found more stuff on archive.org.
Yeah, full 328.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically, there's an RF, something chip on there. It's not LoRa compatible, but if it was LoRa compatible, I would have been keeping it. It's a decent radio.
And battery support, that's kind of impressive.
Yeah. Well, that's really what it was meant for. This was kind of pre, what is it? Maybe it's an RF-12. I'm sure I have the library for it somewhere, but this is kind of a pre-LoRa device.
Okay.
And that it was meant for setting it up in a field somewhere or whatever and getting sensor data. So you need two devices and they talk to each other. One inside the house and one out in the field somewhere. What would you like to know?
I would love to have the knowledge to be able to look at all this and say, oh, well, I understand where all this is going and how they use it. And I'll do it for me.
Well, that's why you need to take it home so you can learn the knowledge.
Well, I am going to take this.
Okay.
And I'm supposed to ask you a question. Are you still interested in the audit?
I am, but I don't think I can offer you what it's worth.
Julie says she is willing to talk to you about that. What's her deal?
Okay.
By the way, did you enjoy the communication that I sent you from the original order? We're in the process of selling the yacht. And, you know, when you lift the hood, there's a little dam back of the engine compartment where the motors for the wiper set. Well, I had a can of brake fluid in it.
Okay.
And the brake fluid leaked and had a spot like this big in that vein where the tank is affected. And the guy that I originally bought the yacht says, oh, that's at least a $2,000 paint repair.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can never repaint that piece of metal. You can't not sand it away. You can't use any sort of cleaner on it. If there's someone you hate, write dirty words on their hood in brake fluid and they're screwed.
They will never.
But I mean, I didn't consider that to be a $2,000 defect in the car. And it's kind of funny because I bought the car for her 10 years ago. It was only put about 10,000 miles out.
That's amazing. I put 4,000 miles on a car every 2 months.
Well, the original owner is now in the position of working on vintage cars. He said, oh, well, it's 10 years old, it has to have new tires. It has to have all the fluids replaced, the oil changed, the transmission fluid changed. You know, hydraulic fluid for the brakes. And it's like, oh, no. And my nephew commented, said, well, weren't those the same conditions that existed when you bought the car? It's like, yeah.
Okay, this is a difficult to open little package.
Yeah, so it's this little package.
I think it's the same.
It probably is. It's probably the same.
Okay, so C-Core Technologies programming and 2 flexes. SQ132.
Once again, Vicente strikes. By we play off of each other. Vicente tempts me with stuff and I buy it. And then I don't know what to do with it.
So this, you went to the trouble of making a case?
Yeah,
What were you gonna do?
I have no idea. Honest truth, I have no idea. That has been sitting in a box for I don't know how long. It's been sitting in that box for I don't know how long. I go through the trouble of making cases for most of my controllers, even if I don't have any particular end goal or whatever. Most of them sit in a case.
So some of these you can kind of change the age of them, or it says system requirements. The Windows PC running 2000 or XP.
Yes. Yes.
So I had somebody contact me from the law firm that I used to work at. They still have a Windows 2000 voicemail server. It's still running. It has a big yellow sticker on it that says, do not power this machine off. I had instructions on boot from the system rescue CD. Just tell it to reboot. Bring it up on system rescue CD. It has a Linux formatted SSD in it that has backups. And once every 3 months or so, somebody follows those instructions and makes a backup of that machine in place with all of its voice messages and everything. And they restart it again. Someday they're gonna go, oh, it's okay if it shuts down.
Mm.
And I'll bet I get a call right after that. What do we do now?
Our voicemail crash. What's wrong? What happened?
Oh, yeah. One is kind of the de facto guy in the office for the PCs and stuff. And so I had set up a backup.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how you have all of these in there.
I don't either. That's probably why the box wasn't open.
I set up a backup scheme. Daily, weekly, monthly type stuff. And I explained it to my secretary. So. And 2 years later, when she retired, I asked the new woman if she'd gone over the backup stuff. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. The woman had never never done anything with it. He listened to me very patiently and just ignored me.
Ignored you. The controller probably was on top. Or the programmer probably was on top. I really don't know how I got all of that in
I
there.
am now frustrated. I came to
There-
enjoy cool stuff and I'm frustrated.
Were there two or three?
There's 3 total, 1 in the printed case.
Yeah,
There's space for 2.
well, that's,
It's like one of those puzzles with the blocks.
yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? All this came out of this box, guaranteed it won't all go back in, and we took stuff out, so. Guaranteed, the puzzle will be.
I'm hoping you don't have to take too much stuff home.
I am really hoping I don't have to take a whole lot of stuff home.
You remember during the 50s, there was a little tablet or a little puzzle that has pieces slid around.
Oh, yeah. That's way older than the 50s. Ben Franklin built that.
There
I
you go.
didn't know that.
You got it closed?
But
Not quite.
my dad found out that if you tried one of those out and moved it to a different place, it was a different universe. And so he would put all of the numbers in order and then give it, scramble it up and pry the key out and then give it to my uncle. My uncle would sit there and spend an hour trying to do it. My dad would take it to the kitchen and pry the tab out. I don't know why he's having so much trouble. It was a
I used to,
hardest thing.
before everybody figured out the Rubik's Cube algorithm,
Yeah.
that was how I would solve Rubik's Cubes. I just take them apart, and put them back together.
Butter knife is a wonderful thing.
They would come apart so easy if you just do this.
I have an official Rubik's Cube at work.
Yeah.
And I've never been good at a Rubik's Cube. I never learned the secret to it. But I was watching Fool Us on TV the other day. There was a guy that had a Rubik's Cube that all the faces were white, and under ultraviolet light, they'd glow different colors. And he has somebody else mess it up, shines his light on it, puts it behind his back and solves it. And I'm really wondering if he just had colored LEDs and it wasn't actually glowing, but it was something like this with LEDs under one.
There is a, they figured it out. I read a book even back in the 80s or whenever that came out. I never understood it, but there is actually a pattern to it. And if you, my son, he knows the pattern, so he can look at where like 4 of the blocks are, or maybe it's 5 of the block. He can look at where those are and solve the cube in like 20 steps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can he explain to someone else how to? Could he hand it to somebody else and say, okay.
No. No, he
Because
can't.
that's what this guy was doing.
Yeah.
He looked at it and put it behind him and then solved it behind him.
I've seen this same video, and what he did was impressive, but I think he memorized the patterns. Because there are speed cubes where you
Oh,
can
yeah.
do it with one hand. But if you know the pattern, it is pretty easy to do. If you don't know the pattern,
You're out of luck.
take it apart. Take it apart. No, I asked Edwin if he could explain to me how to do it, and he couldn't. It was so convoluted, his explanation, it just I got lost. So
This is amazing when stuff is.
This isn't anything. I've got another whole box this size. Like I said, I haven't decided exactly how many Arduinos I actually need to keep. This is just scratching the surface side.
Yeah. You gotta put. All of this. Didn't exist, the technology didn't exist. Until early '70s.
It didn't get this cheap. I mean, you could buy a Z80 in '74, but it was still gonna cost you $45.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, I mean. Chinese clone. $5. Original Arduino, 20 some odd dollars. So. Definitely cheaper than microcontrollers of the past. He's like, I'm done. That's it. Go back in the box.
We could play. Raspberry Pi, and everything happening.
this needs to stay with this.
It does.
You know how I seriously think that any motor drive stuff should be offloaded to a second processor that understands E-stop.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. No, you know how many motor, well, I've got stacks. But you're right, that probably should stay put.
yeah, and this looks like this has two of the LM298s
It does,
or whatever.
it'll do four motors, it's a good board.
And these
I'm
are-
not giving away junk. Well, I'm giving away my junk.
I think these motors are rated up to 12 volts. I'm not certain. But they will turn on 1.5. If you put a single C cell on there, it'll move. Yeah. But you get together.
I am giving away stuff that some stuff in that box is no longer supported and the information is hard to come by.
Yeah, sketchy at best.
It's sketchy at best. But I am not giving away junk per se. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
That is a Wi-Fi board, pre 8088 or 86 8266. And I can't find any information about it anymore. That's a board that I opened up, I looked at, I
You
said,
can use that.
cool. Put it right back in the plastic sleeve. I didn't even download the original sketches for it. So I have no idea how that is. But that is pre ESP 8266. So that should tell you, give you some idea of an age.
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting too old to do this stuff anymore. Oh, on the keyboard.
Yeah.
I have a pair of WASD keyboards, code V3s. If you want a nice TKL keyboard to go with it, let me know. I didn't bring it along, but I have two that I won't use again.
Cool.
One of which does do macros, but is difficult. You've got to turn it over and flip a dip switch, and then hold this until the light turns blue, and then it's too much.
We will. Yes, I probably, keyboards are probably next on the list of things that she's going to complain about, so.
This is a TKL. It's TKL size. It's got brown switches and decent keycaps for me, but if she doesn't like them, I've got probably 10 other sets of keycaps.
You're giving her credit for being for knowing what keycaps are and whatever.
Yeah, that's a point of frustration with every woman in my life. My mom has a keyboard and she hates it. It only has 3 keys that are doing what I want, and it's volume up, volume down, and mute. She's got one of the little K4. It's not a K400, but it's that size Logitech plus 3 keys. But it has a trackpad in it, and every time she gets near it, the cursor moves on the screen, and it makes it difficult for her to type her emails. So
Think that too. That's an Arduino. Yeah, I know. You need more than one.
yeah, you got to get them to talk to each other.
I would like you to talk to one of them, let alone all right, I'll take that, but
He'll take that, but he's not sure he actually wants it.
yes, you're correct.
She also didn't like that the keyboard slid around because it only weighs like 3.5 ounces. So I took over that code because it's a solid keyboard. It's got a steel plating. And she acted like I had just shot her or something. It's like, oh, that's so big. Mom, it's this much longer than the keyboard you're using. And what the hell? And I programmed it so that print screen, scroll lock, and pause, which nobody uses, were volume up, volume down, and mute. And I told her keep it for a couple of weeks, try it. She unplugged it within 30 minutes of me leaving and never plugged it back in.
Well, that's like the keyboard that he gave me for my dad. Dad doesn't care about the colors. He doesn't care about the RGB, any of that stuff. He just wants a decent keyboard that's going to last. His wife could not see the keys. And he turned the RGB on and she went, oh, that's wonderful. And now he has to put up with the RGB. It was the greatest thing ever. So it's the silliest little thing in the world that will satisfy.
Well, I may have mentioned that I have embarked on a photographic project with my sister. She has roughly 20,000 photographs that have information written in the back of them. So I purchased a dedicated photo scanner that will do front and back at the rate of one a second, 300 dots per inch.
Okay.
And
It's too low for the photos, but fine for the back.
well, depends on what they're being used for. She's simply digitizing and distributing the collection to her family.
Okay.
So I left her with my oldest laptop to go through a photo gallery live and identify people. And so she's looking at it. She says, how do I make that thing on the screen move? And I said, what buttons do I push on this? I said, you move this and it moves the pictures. Oh, that's how that works?
Yeah. That's That's intense.
I mean,
That's,
she's 13 years older than I am, and I can't imagine anybody in this
Time
century not having ever used a mouse.
Well, at least you didn't give her one of the
well,
oval Mac mice.
uh,
Worst mouse ever.
well, I'll give you one. Me and Patty have been married 26 years. The only, she used a computer at work. It was all keyboard, no mouse, no nothing. It was all keyboard. It was all terminal based, basically.
Mhm. Don't
Um,
open that.
yeah, don't open that. That's the one. Anyway, she knew all the keyboard shortcuts for the menu items for her work. I being me, I have computers. She didn't even have a cell phone. She had no idea you could talk to people from your car. This was 26 years ago. This is a woman who's my age. I mean, she's a month older than me. She should at least know something.
You learned about cell phones on Magnum
Pardon?
PI, I think, when I was really young. I think that's the first cell phone I saw on TV.
I got her first cell phone when we started dating, and that was like one of the greatest things ever. That was
Okay, so I've got a ignorance about cell phone story too. My first cell phone was a Nokia bar phone, 5610 or something. And
you got it all back then.
at one point, my wife, we homeschooled our kids for a while. And my wife took the kids to the museum center. And she butt dialed me. And the battery lasted about 2.5 hours. And I had a 2.5 hour long message on my phone.
Well,
And I started playing the message, and like, this is nothing I need to hear. And D or 4, I think, 3, I guess, was delete. So I pressed it. It keeps playing. I guess I've got to wait until it tells me I can press 4.
2.5 hours later.
So I set it off to the side, and I'm working on some other stuff. And my boss comes in and starts talking to me. And it gets to the end and hangs up.
Oh no. Oops.
Damn. So I put it on the charger because it's not going to last for
Right.
another 2.5 hour phone call. And he comes out and so didn't you just listen to that? Yeah, I'm trying to delete it. It's like, press D. It did, it doesn't. It's got to go to the end. So press it twice, quick. Delete it. And then another one. I think the intuitive double tap took me 5 years to learn because it was not.
It wasn't as intuitive as it should have been.
Yeah.
The
And now I'm okay with double tap and triple tap and all of that stuff.
we ended up with the first cell phones were not smartphones. I don't remember what they were. Maybe they were Nokias, but she loved them. They were great. That was opened up a whole new world. Then we got we got a BlackBerry. We got 2 BlackBerries. And it just expanded her mind to what now I can't get her off of her phone. Her phone's stuck with her. Even when she is not supposed to be using her phone at work. There's a phone.
Mhm.
Yeah.
49 surveys? Sometimes probably 48.
Sure, that's not just a shield thing.
Oh, it is. It goes on the bigger one.
But
Arduino Max or
That's the analog input one.
could be. Oh, yeah, it's digital, analog, got Bluetooth and an SD card spot.
aha, Terry's here.
So you.
Barry, you missed the unboxing, so now you get to do an
You
unboxing.
can do the unboxing. Oh, Teensy too.
I get a tank? Is that what you're saying?
Do you want to take?
I don't know, that looks kind of fun.
I mean, it's dumb. It doesn't have any chips or anything, but this and an Arduino would make it go nicely and a good sized battery.
There's Arduinos in that box too.
Yeah, more than one.
What do you guys unboxing? Is this the sort box of fun?
Have you not been paying attention? This is our giveaway stuff.
Yeah.
What was it going?
Poor Barry.
And this is my to-go box unless somebody wants it.
I'm not desperate for anything, but I mean, if people are throwing stuff out.
I'm having this strange feeling I'm going home with more stuff than
I didn't bring anything today.
I know, but I'm looking at Steve. I'm walking out of here
Yes.
with a laptop. I know that.
What did Steve bring?
The
The-
track set and,
Oh, okay.
and that, this, one of these laptops. This,
Give me the right laptop.
Yeah.
Don't give me your good laptop.
yeah. About all you could do with it is wipe it. So this is a 32U4. This does HID stuff, right?
I honestly do not remember what the specs on the TNC2 were. I think I know the TNC3 looks so much better, and I bought that right before they came out with the TNC3.
Hmm.
So
This is right there, that.
yeah,
Yeah, you can plug everything into it.
no,
All
that's
the
that's
things.
probably a duo for a mega.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, that's the word I was trying to think. Yeah, I like that a lot.
You got one.
I'm gonna go with the sucker.
You couldn't. You know, like an hour and a half over, and you stuck in solid pot stuff. 75 north. Well, the broken down van, it looks. When
So that's a 4D systems. It's basically a competitor with the NextGen or the Nextron or whatever that other display board is.
Is this a speaker
It
or
is.
a vibrator?
No, it's a speaker. That one is still, I looked it up, it's still on their website. The software is Windows only, of course. But it's still supported. That one was actually specifically made for Arduino use. That's why it's got that extra little shield thing. So I think they were trying to capitalize on the whole. Everybody's using Arduino thing, and I don't know if it really worked out for them or not.
control.
That would be a Grove connector for a TI board, maybe? What those related to CIs. A Beagle boat, maybe?
It says it's a road-based booster pod.
For TIs.
Oh, yeah, protects us against the launch pad.
Launchpad. I knew it was CI, I just didn't know which one. Those Reese's boards. Reese's is a,
Renaissance.
okay, Renesas. They are a industrial controller manufacturer. That board was a demo board to demo some of the features of their newest chip at the time. It's actually a really cool board, but it's basically a demo board. It's got demo software loaded on it. You plug it in, you play around with it, and then you call them up and say, I want 2,000 of these boards programmed to do this. And they go, okay. But that was a giveaway. They gave those away as a promo to show off what the new boards can do. Supposedly there's a way to program them, but is it really worth it? Yeah, it's very much. It was fun to play with. I mean, it does some kind of neat stuff. I could see why in the industrial complex would maybe want to use some of that stuff. It's not necessarily a board that I need. Some sort of weird Wi-Fi board. How do you like that for a description?
Yeah, it didn't help a lot.
Yeah.
I'm curious about some of the wording. Performance is 1.65 DMIPS per megahertz. EMIPS?
EMIPS.
I've never heard DMIPS before.
I've heard MIPS.
Yeah.
Some assembly required.
Yeah.
Video game shield? Sweet.
That's very similar to what Vicente bought for FOP. So
That's like network card not on or something.
that is a controller board all on its own with a network card. When I looked to make sure that those were still a thing, I found the website, but I think it was several years out of date. But it still was listed. The information about that board was still around. Yeah, it's not. It's just
It's not good.
it's not a camera.
Oh.
Don't open it.
Oh, yeah, you will regret it. It took me 20 minutes to get that stuff back in there.
It's a trap is what they're telling me.
If you can't get it back in, you gotta take it.
That's the way that works.
What all's in it?
STM, there's 3 STM controller boards and an STM program.
C-Cord Technologies.
Good thing.
Hello.
Don't mind us, we're just goofing off.
Yeah.
More power to you.
There's another one of those recent boards down there in North.
I was hopeful when I read the part RP BRX.
I remember we didn't buy those, but we got those. We were searching for R2D2 projects or something, and that board came up, and I'm like, sure, let's order some RPVXRs or whatever those are.
I'm glad it's in the box.
I don't know if you heard it.
I was gonna say, I'm sure it can take it that little bit of a fall in a cardboard box. What's like, you know?
Okay, so Gertdinos are Atmel chips, 18 mega 328, which is basically a Uno. that plug on top of a Raspberry Pi. So
That's cool.
you could do Raspberry Pi stuff and have it interact with Arduino stuff, which Raspberry Pi stuff is really good for with software and control and that kind of stuff, while the Arduino is good for digital I/O and it's got analog. So
This one's not even open. You're not playing with your toys, son?
a lot of this stuff isn't even open. And
Does this have a clock on it? It's got a battery.
uh,
Or was that for a,
does it have a real time clock on it? Yes, I believe it does, but I won't swear to that. I know you can use that independently of a Pi. It acts just
yeah,
like
it's an
a
Arduino.
Arduino. But you have to program it with a programmer instead of the Raspberry Pi turns into the programmer.
Right. I wonder if it requires software, specific software to make because there's no USB across the 28-pin Pi. So they're doing it through a different thing than USB.
So it's over serial. We're connecting to the two
Yeah.
serial ports.
Huh.
Or the two serial pins. So that one, if you haven't opened it up yet, that one is they're old boards.
Yeah,
They're
Raspberry
designed
Pi
for
1.
the original Raspberry Pi. So they've got the 26-pin header, 24-pin header, whatever.
Oh, which is carried through. So if you don't use it, you can use it there.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So it doesn't use all the pins basically. It's using serial.
Right.
And then he uses something else. I think he uses a couple of things. So yeah, I mean it's a decent board that
7.5 to 18 volts. Can you power the Pi with this thing?
I don't know. I think so. I think if you plug in I think it powers everything up.
But it's missing components. I'll bet this one doesn't have that voltage input. But there's a version of it that does, because there's pads for a
Oh, yeah,
coil
you're
and
right.
cap and stuff.
Yep. Yeah,
Because that's what I'm looking for, a wide voltage input power supply for
for the
the
power.
Pi, yeah. Of course, I want to.
Oh, look,
Pi 5.
this even shows the date.
Yeah.
2013.
Relatively young board.
Relatively. That came from almost positive. I bought those at MCM when MCM went out of business. And that's pretty much as far as they went.
Yeah.
I bought them, threw them in a box, and then I said,
Oh, and this is Rev 5. What happens with 1 through 4?
It gets better every rev, right?
Yeah.
As long as we're not on like 27, 5 is a good number.
Ooh, no lead.
no lead.
That's not a good thing in a circuit board, not if you're ever going to have to solder on it.
Yeah. Yeah, you want lead. We want lead.
What do they use? Bismuth or something like that?
It's mostly tin.
Whatever it is, it's not fun to solve.
I think just tin and antimony. But yeah, it doesn't solder. It's extremely sensitive to temperature. If you're at 320, that's too cold. If you're at 325, it just melted and burned. There's no paste region.
Yeah, you need a really good iron with the correct whatever. So that board is a tinsel,
Yeah,
and there was something really special about those, but I don't remember what.
I'm sorry, I'm from.
this has a couple RF things in it. Does this plug into the side of a, check the RF thing, orange and white? Happy purpose.
I don't know.
You do, you've got one.
Oh,
You
you,
brought one.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That thing's too old for.
You're talking about the Pizer or
The flipper,
Flipper, yes,
the flippy.
because it looks like the
Right.
great connector on the
the
side.
probably foot connected in. Not to develop it, you might have to adopt.
It's got two antennas on it, whatever it does.
There's a there should be two of those boards on there. You know, well, maybe it's in the other box. It still needs to come.
They have so many of these.
I thought it was interesting to look at a 45 grand.
Probably a 10100 connection too.
I think it does Bluetooth and Wi-Fi.
Nice.
I think it was,
Ethernet.
I think it was one of those boards that came about to compete with the ESP 8266. But
And
it never really took
big.
off. Yeah, it's too big. That's its problem. It's too big. But you know, we're getting the ESP 32 P4 is like a huge freaking board. So we're making full circles back to Atmega AT Tiny 85 and AT Tiny boards that you can solder a pin header onto and program the AT Tinys. They still need to be programmed using a programmer, but you can power the AT Tinys up with those boards. AT Tinys only have like 8 pins, so
Yeah, oh, so I see that. I was just curious what that was about. I like what the container was. I need this. Pens, but I was like,
bye Sante!
Your stuff's gonna go.
Now my stuff's going to go.
This this is cool.
Yeah. That is an STM something or other, and I don't know much about it.
MB 867A.
Remember LEDs. No mega.
oh, passing the box.
Yeah, passing the box. He's
I just designed
Are you keeping
the
these?
mega.
No,
No,
I figured that was your pile.
No.
Agree.
no.
I was like, you know, if you don't want that, I'd be fine, but then
playing with that. I am fairly sure you can still find info about that one.
if nobody, I mean, like I said, I don't need them. If anybody wants them, I just,
We all don't need stuff.
well, just,
Okay,
I
this
don't
says
do a
something
whole
about
lot.
the CD.
I'm trying to get better. I did find my stuff this week, which was nice. I kid or whatever I bought.
Pretty cool. I should simulate.
I knew I had it because I had a
So
couple pieces
it
of
would,
it, but I couldn't find the rest of it with the actual Arduino, and I was like, and all the rest of the kit, and I found it this week.
Last week.
That's a pick.
What is it, in Ocean Pies that you do?
Those are some sort of weird Wi-Fi board for they're not Wi-Fi. They harvest power from something and you need like 2 of them or 3 of them or something. I never understood how they work, so I never even tried to make them work. I read about them and I went, oh, okay, that's cool. And that is about as far as it went because I really didn't understand what they were or what they were
Well,
doing.
it's wireless energy
Then
transmission.
talking with most people.
Yeah.
They have
They-
the.
the-
Power over antenna.
Yeah, that came from MCM.
MCM. So, literally,
How much would you like, sir?
nothing. Okay, let's go through, not even.
Plus 2 volts.
The
No.
Apple one, or something.
Take as much stuff out of that box as you want. It's stuff going away. That is for by something. That is the case for his.
Yes.
How far can 315 go?
315 megahertz.
Yeah.
I've got a thermometer that's 100 feet from the receiver on the other side of a brick wall. Seems to do fine.
Like, I never really understood what those things were, Barry, so you're more than welcome to play with them.
I just think this is gateway for energy harvesting wireless networks.
Yeah,
So
and then it says 315 megahertz, and it
it's like,
seems like it wants to do transmissions, and I'm sitting there going,
Yeah.
those it supplies 2.8 to 3 volts.
I don't know.
This is the ground and the signal control.
Receives
Yeah,
33
this is
volts.
analog inputs of the control cell. That will three cables together.
I wouldn't think that goes
Look
very
at
far.
this, it's got the digital and the analog. Yeah.
Maybe it's like a QI charger or something.
Well, I was thinking like, it's like sometimes.
I should take it. Yeah. I'm gonna run.
Wireless power
Oh, the
control sensor.
That's how I ended up with half of the stuff. My Sunday talks me into stuff.
What? And it's so smooth about it too, you know, you realize.
He's good at it.
I think I told you a story that I used to work with a guy and there'd be two people arguing and we'd walk out. About 5 minutes, we're all three shaking hands and we're just happy and going away. Well, that's a cool skill. I'm gonna, learn how to do that. So I observed him, he lost, and I studied. And I tried it out. And after about 2 minutes, all three of us were screaming at each other. It's like, it's a gift.
Oh, you know what I bet this is? It's like a serial antenna relay for a Raspberry Pi board.
Well, it's definitely for a Raspberry Pi,
Yeah, well, that's what
but I don't really know what it does.
so,
Well, the language is there, but that doesn't mean
well, so
anything.
it's radio messages are sent transparently through the serial interface on both directions to a Raspberry Pi board that are preloaded with video link software. So basically, you can give commands from a Raspberry Pi wirelessly to radio frequency 315.
Okay.
If you've got a Raspberry Pi with the VO software installed.
Is that the tubular encapsulator?
And that's probably the
See, that's what I thought they were,
plug into something to see the thing better.
but that's what I thought they were, and I
Wanted to figure out. how-
I never got it to actually do what I thought it. And then I thought, wait, one of these might be a transmitter and one of them might be a receiver, and I've got two transmitters.
It says it's both directions on the little paperwork.
Yeah, well, they're what the information I found about it was just as confusing as. I was very confused. Basically, I did not pay very much for those from MCM when MCM went out of business, and I don't care about them.
So I actually have an interest in it. I've been trying to get a Raspberry Pi to talk to 315 megahertz stuff for a while. And I've got a Zigbee on there and and SDR and all sorts of stuff.
Toy.
It has evaded me so far.
Well, there's more parts for you to get frustrated about, so.
Yeah, compounding. So I kind of had the opposite effect with people. When I was in high school, there were these two guys, Vernon Burns and Bill Burns, and they were not related. They lived on opposite sides of town. We went to the same school together. They were both farm boys. Both of them could pick up 2 bales of hay and toss them 12 stacks up on a moving hay truck. And I'd go to one of them, Vernon, what's going on?
Yeah.
He's Bill talking about you. And then I go to Bill, and Bill, I hear Vernon wants to kick your ass. And in the school, they'd go kick each other's ass out in the parking lot. And they did it consistently, and they never put together that I was the only common factor.
You
I
were
think
the,
they just enjoyed beating the hell out of each other.
you were the instigator of everything.
My dad was like that between his brothers and sisters.
Mhm.
And
I don't remember what board that is.
Screen.
I don't remember what board that is. Is it a Tang? Is it a Tang nano?
Yes.
We'll claim something. Let me off TV screen.
no,
Logan, yeah.
that's
I just lost the robot.
Oh, did you?
No, no.
I just
I
want to look.
didn't have said nothing. That's going on with you, Barry. You get to move.
I like this discussions.
Looks fancy. I was gonna say, I've never seen one. That's pretty cool. And I thought, I just wanted to look at it. And then he's like, oh, there goes my tank.
I got that from Vilrose, or however it's pronounced. I have the box for it and some spare sections of track and stuff. Out in the trunk of the car. On carpet, it certainly goes nicely. It seems to be tighter than I expected it to be, so maybe something moved. But the motors are rated 12 volts DC, but they do start to move and will drive the tracks at 1.5. I paid shipping on it, and that was it.
Oh, looking some,
Well, at the time, I'm certain it was Korea or something. I don't know. I ordered some stuff. I've ordered a few things from them, but I won stuff from them years ago at Ohio Linux Fest, and they've sent me quite a bit of stuff since then.
Okay, fun. And we built a mouse pod out of it. A Star Wars mouse pod.
oh, I've always wanted one of those.
Barry just, his eyes just kind of, oh, yeah.
You know, the body to make it look like a mouse pot.
3D print it.
So the only thing, this is probably the best driver for it, the box of stuff. The only thing I changed on it was I turned these bolts upside down. That was not enough price for it. So this just lifts straight off, and that is kind of handy.
You're probably gonna wanna go through and tighten all the bolts up.
Yeah.
Cause he put it together while we were in a meeting one day.
Actually, no, it was work.
Oh, a
Yeah,
work meeting.
But yeah,
He put it together during a work meeting. But you're probably gonna wanna make sure it's all.
When do you want to go play?
I. If that chassis with the things on the front and whatever, I'd turn it into a mouse pod. I'd 3D print some parts up and make it look like a mouse pod.
but it needs a turret of some sort.
Yeah.
And this will run 4 motors and some servos, so I mean, you're set.
I think it'll run two motors and servos, or 4 motors without the servos.
You can, so 4 DC motors, 2 steppers, or 6 servos. You can probably do 2 DC and 3 servos.
Yeah.
3 is a weird number. 2. You can do at least
I
2 motors
I
and 2
think you could do
servos.
2 motors, 2 servos.
And the light.
It's a good power board.
Well, it says 4 these, 2 steppers, or 6 servos.
Yeah. But I'm sure you could do some combination of. I mean, you've only got 2 DC motors. So you should be able to do at least a servo.
Well, you can do something, wire both the DC motors together.
Why would you do that? How would you turn it?
Well, because we could put it into some other chip.
Well, this needs something to tell it what to do. This is just a driver board.
Yeah,
That is the other chip.
and do like a logic board or something.
So you need an Arduino, a Mega or Uno.
Or the box of 74 LSCs chips that I have.
That. Like that. That would.
He's given me 5 or 6 in the
Yep.
past that I'm quite well populated in those.
I would get, honestly,
And I
if I
found
was,
mine too.
if I was doing,
Threes.
if I was using that particular chassis, I probably would go with the Mega. It's bigger board, more memory, but yeah, you need some controller for it. You need the motor driver and you need a battery, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
Well,
So
you need a sound
this-
thing so you can go beep, 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 beep.
This driver board with a Mega, we still got 40 pins left over to play with.
Oh, it's saying you don't- no, you can reverse the player, you on one of the sides and just without.
Red Bull. I couldn't tell.
Android chip, and
Just a breadboard.
Yeah,
could run it through like an Android chip and
Just system.
so
That's.
change
it
the
fits
player
on
down
the,
the
so
motor,
you'll find.
make one turn left, one turn
You
right.
can do your prototyping on the breadboard and then you can solder it all up when you're done.
I understand.
If you want to solder it all up when you're done. Or you could just leave it on the breadboard. The breadboard basically comes off. And the bottom board,
Have the steppers for the turn.
the bottom board is soldered over there.
That's right up down.
It's a prototyping board, it's what it is.
The box is too small.
And that's the same. No, this is a.
What is this? Nano? Nano, sir?
You talked me into buying a bunch of those.
Really?
Yes. That's that weird nano that's it's 328 compatible, but it's an improvement.
Change the voltage.
It's an improved nano or something. You talked me into buying a bunch of them because you could get like 10 of them for like $3 or something. It's like 30 cents a board or something.
I want to just, what, I don't know. See?
I'm blaming you on. I
That's
really
that
don't
box
know
of
what
stuff
that
he's
is.
recommended you to get.
Yeah, I'm blaming him on most of that stuff in there.
My fault.
All of it. The whole hobby.
The whole hobby. Before he even was a member of this group.
Do it, fine.
Under the bus you're going.
I do not think that this shield that you think is a servo shield. I don't think it's a servo shield. I think this is just a breakout shield that gives you voltage and ground
And again,
and a pin. Yeah, I think that's all this board is. So it's a convenient board
Mhm.
that's not necessarily a servo board, but probably could be used as a servo.
Oh, yeah. You can directly drive 16 servos off of Omega, so.
Well, the way I read this, and again, I know nothing about it, is that it was simply an IO board.
Yeah. It, instead of a female socket, you've got male sockets, which may be a little easier to deal with. As far as the IO goes. I don't remember Vicente. I just remember you had a bunch of those. You were doing a project on them.
Is that menu?
Yeah.
Mega sensor.
So I am still trying to find there's a USB stick that works with those boards. I had two USB sticks because they were paired. So two of the boards I think would talk to each other, and two of the boards talked to the USB sticks. And I don't know which ones are which, and I can't find the other USB stick. So if you take them,
No.
if you take them, I will get you. I'll find the other USB stick.
In the plastic box on.
Oh,
I like the box.
the box is the most important part.
Organizational boxes. So you can see what's in them. That's the best thing.
That's the most important part. Did you want this stuff? There's some more stuff for you, I sent in.
I've got a couple of Wicked Devices boards.
Wicked Device. They make some decent boards.
Yeah. I don't remember what I put.
I've got LED shields, I think, from Wicked Devices.
I've got program.
I had a question about an old board from Wicked Devices, and it was an old board, and I just
Pressure washer.
emailed the guy, and then about
You just looking
4 or 5
for
minutes later,
New home?
I got like this huge answer.
No,
And I'm like,
pressure washer.
Wow.
And
Basically, it was an unsupported board.
so
I mean,
had
it wasn't even listed on their site anymore or whatever. But he was able to anything I wanted to know about it. So their service was
no case or anything else. but they
pretty good.
put together on front.
He even sent me the GitHub repository or whatever was gone. And he even sent me
looking for.
all the software I would need
And
for it and
whatever.
everything.
It's
It's like,
oh,
it's really
Yeah,
cool that somebody's actually
don't
using
know
that
yet.
board in
I've been playing with
2020 or whatever it
looking at
was.
water pressure stuff and curious if it
Like,
could be used
well,
for hydraulics.
lockdown has
But
me
the
looking at some of
impression
this
it's
old
not
stuff.
quite the same chemical for the hosing,
I don't know.
so I don't know. So my uncle has a pressure washer, but I've never messed with them, so
Well, I have the
that's like playing with motors.
motor. And then I have one in my phone, but for the
You know, and stuff.
That one,
Yeah.
Make Magazine sponsored that board or something.
Mhm.
That's
That's what I
it's
was
a
looking
good
at
board.
the other day, was like,
I debated about whether or not bringing it. But then I decided,
I
oh,
was looking
I
and
got
there's some
so much robot stuff.
high pressure, water pressure hoses that were on the auction. And I was like, well, it was rated for like the same PSI as the hydraulic stuff was, and I was like, what if that's interchangeable? And I'm like sitting there.
That's
reading
one
it,
of that's one of the USB sticks.
and I was saying that water and oil, it's like kind of didn't recommend using the water pressure. Even though it's like 1200 PSI high pressure washer stuff for hydraulic, and I was like,
I've got it, I think it's like rated at 3,000 PSI or something
Yeah.
ridiculous thing like that, but I don't think that it would be chemically compatible with,
Water and oil. Well, I was gonna say, I wouldn't have thought it'd been any different, but evidently it's a thing. I did a lot of digging before I found some little article, and they said it could be done, but didn't recommend it because of the difference between the material. I wouldn't have thought there would have been any difference when they were rated for the same PSI.
and it doesn't make any sense to me. You look at a hydraulic hose and it's a only, when you look at the pressure washer hose, and
Yeah.
Well, but the pressure washer hose is almost a capital too. It has a very small ID, and the smaller the ID, the thinner the ball can be. So,
Yeah, when you rated for the same PSI, it'd be like, well, it doesn't make, but. I think it's over the prolonged use and the kind of really implied that the winter was the water saturates into it and if you use a hydraulic line or whatever, and how the material will break down in the winter. So I was like, I went the other way, what difference was it? The oil soaking with the
water's wicked stuff.
high pressure stuff or? Well, but it was.
Does that have the
they were
camera on it?
Selling
Does that look like the camera?
high
You
pressure
don't want to open that, oh.
water hose, pressure water.
that's not the.
That's not the puzzle box.
And
Those are AT,
actually for like a buck, but then,
85s here.
like hydraulic lines are like $100 a pop, so.
Lining up.
If I was getting it for like $4, I was like, I'll be worth trying that out, but then like, do I want the hydraulic line blowing, because it can't handle hydraulic fluid instead of water. I didn't know if it made a difference.
Those hydraulic lines that I'll give you a year
They're
ago,
lining up.
they looked like they were too damn nice to be in the dumpster, so.
Oh, yeah, well, they seem nice, but you know, they look like a sieve, so far the one we tried. They haven't tried the other ones that are heavier duty. But,
Around the crimping,
well, it was spraying behind the crimp, in front of the crimp, and then the swivel joint, and I mean, just going everywhere, and I was like, what? That's screwy.
I apologize if that's one you were in the dumpster.
Well, that's, you know, it's not your fault, we didn't know what to expect, we tried to get away, it would have been nice if it worked, but it didn't, but.
We are,
And
we-
Bucks, Megan wants like $20 at Back Supply, so.
we have the room next week,
This room?
this
Yeah.
room.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're in person next week, but we're 15 minutes earlier. I guess they're showing up 15 minutes earlier next week.
I agree.
So
I think they.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut down, guys, because they're showing up outside, but
Hey, Ray's phone, bye, Ray's phone. See you, Art.
we'll
Take
see you
care.
guys later.
Have a good week.
Bye.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
There
at
he
least I
is.
said hi.
Hi and bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.